Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be a book cure? Really? So I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to take a nice couple of breaths out here, enjoy the fresh air. It's not clean, crisp air. It's a little bit warm, a little bit humid, but still better than indoors. Relax your body, breathe. Don't focus so much on the breath, but just relax the body. The breath will take on its own pace. The relaxed body will send a direct message to the subconscious. So, a book cure? Really? So, have you ever heard of a book cure? You ever read the reviews on Amazon for Dr. Sarno's books? And, and then you look at people who say, yeah, I read the book and I got better. And for anybody who's been aware of TMS for a while, that really upsets people. It pisses people off. Because the first question you're going to ask is, why didn't I get that? Why not me? Right? And so I will tell you that when I first read Dr. Sarno's books, I kind of felt like within a couple of months I got better. Right? Because I was like, oh, cool, wow, that's great. But it didn't last because it came back and it took longer to get rid of it again. And then it came back again and up, down, and then it was finally persistent. And I think that's the journey that some people have with this thing called TMS. Because every time the symptoms come back, it scares the crap out of us again. And so it's very common, very normal for us to react with more fear and more frustration because, oh crap, I thought I beat it. And I talked about that yesterday in the What Does Recovery Look Like video. But today I just really wanted to focus on the book cures. So my interpretation, this is just my opinion, but my interpretation on why book cures can happen. Well, first of all, let's back up. They rarely happen. It's a fraction of a percent that get better by reading a book. And my interpretation on why that can happen is because when some people read the book, they go, oh, cool. There's nothing wrong with me. And what happens to the fear or the perceived danger? Goes from way up here to whoom, gone, done. And people can sometimes make a very quick choice to say, that's what's going on. I got no reason to be afraid. And when the fear goes, the perceived danger is gone. The perceived danger is what triggers the symptoms in the first place. And very quickly, people can get well. Sometimes days, other times weeks or a couple of months. But yeah, people can get better fairly quickly, which is instructive if you're paying attention. So what does that mean for somebody who has had TMS for a while and has been aware of TMS for a while, and you're really, really struggling and frustrated that your symptoms aren't going away? I will tell you, if you compare, my interpretation of why book cures happen to the folks who are frustrated and struggling to get rid of their symptoms, there's a distinct difference in their acceptance that I'm really okay. One believes, I got a new problem called TMS, so I'm not okay. And that belief says, I'm in danger. And perceived danger says, keep the symptoms on. So you may come to the conclusion, after reading Sarno's books or hearing about it, that, okay, great, Dan, you're telling me that my body's fine. So now I'm afraid of my brain. I'm afraid of my subconscious. I'm afraid of my thinking. I'm afraid of fear. Fear. Why aren't my symptoms going away? I know what's causing it. I know it's TMS. Because you're still afraid. And in many cases, through no fault of your own, we still fuel the fear with our thinking and frustrations and struggles and complaints and victimization of ourselves in this world, our fear of the symptoms, our fear of the fear, our fear of the everything, right? Our fear of our brains. And so if you're in the middle of your recovery process, take a lesson from somebody who got better quickly. And what did they do that you may not have gotten to yourself? They were able to successfully lower their fear levels from way up here to way down here. And when the fear goes, guess what you're going to be able to do? You're going to take your attention, where you're staring at the symptoms all day long, you're going to be able to take your attention and shift it back to, well, since there's nothing wrong with me, I'm not afraid of it, I got nothing to fix, so I'm going to shift my attention back to living life. Hanging with your family, your kids, your spouse, dating, even just getting out in your own backyard or taking walks for yourself, returning to the gym, even if you're single. My point is, returning your attention to life gets a lot easier when you're no longer afraid of the symptoms. And when you're no longer afraid of the symptoms and you take your attention away, that's a recipe for having things calm down. So there's obviously the concern about, well, I started resuming activity and my pain flared. Yes, because the brain hasn't been convinced that the activity's safe yet. So, we go over a lot of that stuff in these daily videos. We go over that in the course that's part of the group membership. And we obviously talk a lot about that type of stuff in the group coaching. But if you're looking at book cures and going, why didn't I get that? And the fact that you didn't get it causes you more fear to say, okay, I must be a special case because I thought I was supposed to get better once I know about TMS. Knowledge is not enough unless you're able to take that knowledge and make a decision to shut down the fear. But oftentimes knowledge isn't enough to get rid of the fear because we're still afraid of the symptoms and the pain themselves. So the key point here is that there's a definite correlation between your pain level and your fear or your perceived danger level. They definitely go hand in hand. Because if you're really in a bad way, symptom-wise, it's very likely your mindset and your fear is in a bad way as well. So that's instructive. And when we understand what's going on and we can see how my fear level is determining fairly closely the significance or the intensity of the symptoms or pains, now we at least can see the target. We understand that's what I need to focus on. How do I get rid of this fear? And I teach it. About 2 weeks ago I did a video. Safety is created proactively. It doesn't just happen. Well, what are we talking about there? The reduction of fear. I also have a video called Recovery from Fear. Look for that. And if you just go to my YouTube channel, dansyoutube.com, and click on the magnifying glass on a computer, the magnifying glass within the channel, and just type in the word fear. You'll see me talk a dozen times or more about fear and what we do about that. If you're on an iPhone or an Android and you're in YouTube, it's a little harder to search. So in that case, you're going to want to type into their search, pain-free you fear. And then you'll get the same results. A little bit easier to search on a desktop or laptop. So a book cure. What can you learn from watching what happens with book cures? What did they do right that through no fault of your own you just haven't gotten to yet? The reduction of fear, the creation of safety is what takes care of these symptoms. So we're not trying to recover from our symptoms. We're not trying to fix our body parts. We're not even trying to teach our body that we're okay. Because the brain's controlling everything that happens in the body. So when we teach our brain that we're actually safe, guess what happens? Things settle down. So I hope this makes sense. If you've ever questioned why some people get a book cure and why didn't I get it, it's because there wasn't enough of a reduction in the fear, aka perceived danger, to affect the symptoms or turn them off. So, safety, notice it. When you're feeling better, you're feeling more safe, your mindset is better, your symptoms are usually less. If symptoms start climbing and you tend to freak out, you're pretty much fueling the symptoms with more fear, which creates more intense symptoms. So if you're in a big flare-up, just say, well, let me look back and see where I was. Yeah, I was doing fairly well, or I was doing okay, standard, but symptoms started climbing for some reason, perceived danger, and I responded in a way that was not beneficial, but it was counterproductive because I threw more fear at it when the symptoms started to climb. And as a result, the symptoms continued to climb. And we can get ourselves into a really big, deep flare-up by responding to new symptoms or old symptoms increasing or even steady symptoms with fear. Things can get pretty intense pretty quickly. Solution? Know that you're okay. Dial down the fear. Make a decision, and it is a decision. Make a decision. I am not going to fuel the fear with catastrophic thoughts, worry about my future, oh no, oh no, oh no, being terrified of it, checking my body 18 times a day or 85 times a day. It's a decision. So look for those videos on fear. Look for that video, Creating Safety Proactively. It doesn't just happen. It's about 2 weeks old. You can search within Facebook as well. Go to my Pain Free You page, search for these topics, and you'll find them. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Hope everybody is doing fantastic. And love you all. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care.